Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. This pick a card reading is one that I've never done. It just came to mind just now. So I said, let me go with it. So it's one that is, it's why do I feel this way? That's what this pick a card reading is about. Why do I feel this way? I feel like sometimes we feel stuck or frustrated or whatever, but we feel unsure as to why we feel the way we feel. Or maybe we can't put words onto how we're feeling. We just know that we don't feel like ourselves or don't feel the best, but can't put words onto it, and that's what this is about. Or this could also be like a mystery message because it's all about what pops up in this reading. We have 3 groups to select from. Number 1, Panther. Number 2, Starfish. Number 3, Cosmic Egg. Pause the video if you have to see which group you're resonating with. Timestamps are in the description box below. Hello, group number 1. Group number 1, this message is about why am I feeling this way. When it comes to this pick a card message, the Astro dice, we have the number 7 and Venus. So with Venus, the number 7 and Panther energy, I get that either you're trying to rush a connection or someone else is trying to rush a connection along with you. This is definitely about partnership or relationship. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but there's something about an encounter with someone else and something about it feels a bit aggressive. I honestly feel though that more than likely, most of the people who are watching are probably the one that wants to hurry things up when it comes to this connection. I think of like, say, being interested in someone, they don't know you exist and, wishing things were different. That's one aspect of it. Or for someone else, you are friends with the person or you guys are dating or getting to know each other and you're just wishing you would like jump from one step to the next already. And I personally feel like when it comes to this group, that is because of abandonment issues. I think, for example, I think of like when I'm doing readings, personal readings, and someone might have certain placements within their chart. And based on the certain placements within their chart, certain numbers within their birthdays and things, I could tell that this person needs a lot of time alone and personal space. But even though that's who this person is, whenever they meet someone new that they're really interested in, they'll come off clingy and wanting to have a commitment like overnight. And that is really because of abandonment wounds, abandonment issues. Because say if a person can relate to what I'm saying and reflect to past experiences when it comes to relationships, they might find that they rush into relationships, rush into friendships, rush into connections, only for things to go south because enough time was never spent getting to know the actual person. So I think of the person rushing into a commitment only to start feeling like the other person is suffocating their energy or expects too much or is overwhelming them, when in the beginning, the other person was actually following their lead, and their lead was saying, I want us to be closer, I want us to be inseparable, when really that's not who they truly are. So, you know, if that's something that someone here could relate to, I think of the importance of, you know, imagining that you and this person were besties, or you're lovers, you're together, you're in the ideal relationship, and you're settled down. Like, once that is the case, and you know you have them, they have you, and you nobody's going anywhere, how would you want the connection to be like once you have that security? What I mean by that is, I think of, like, say once a person have that security, they might want to see each other not every day, but maybe speak every day, or maybe every other day, or something to that effect, or speak when you guys are available. There is not this mandatory need to communicate even when you guys have nothing to talk about. And it's like, in the beginning, before, you know, it's confirmed of where things are in the connection, you might feel like you want things that you don't truly want, and it's just coming from a place of fear. It's not coming from a healthy space. So yeah, when it comes to how you're feeling, it might be because of abandonment wounds and a fear of not being worthy enough for someone, feeling like they might reject you, or things might not work out when it comes to the connection. And for that, there's this need to, like, control a connection, control a situation, and not realizing that, you know, this anxious behavior is because of, like, past wounds. This anxious behavior isn't who you are. This need to, like, control the situation, and everything is predictable and calculated, and stalk this person, you know, when there's no real connection going on, and it's just your imagination, and you're watching a bunch of pick a card readings to see where you guys are. Like, that's not coming from a healthy place. That's not coming from a healthy place. And instead, take your power back and get to the root of the need to kind of, like, obsess. It's like it feels like there's an obsessive vibe. And I look, and there's all swords energy minus the star card. And with the star card in the reversal position, it brings me to, like, say someone experiencing a breakup or an abandonment situation, but not acknowledging that that's what happened. Like, I think of, like, the person who ends the relationship or the friendship, or something ends that is hurtful, but the person doesn't acknowledge that they're hurt. It's like they just jump to the next thing instead of taking some time to acknowledge and mourn the loss of whatever it is that they felt like they have lost, because, you know, something was lost, but that wasn't acknowledged. So with the star card in the reversal position, that's what I'm getting. And with the King of Swords in the upright position, but in the challenging position, brings me to the thought of there is an issue when it comes to being assertive, communicative, and expressive. So when it comes to this group, you might find that you don't feel safe to communicate and express everything that you're feeling. So it brings me to the thought of, like, you know, Three of Swords, someone breaking their own heart and suffering in silence. Because with the King of Swords energy, like, say if someone was operating in the positive aspect of the King of Swords energy, this would bring me to, say, someone letting someone know how they truly feel and being receptive as to what the person say back. Where with this energy here in the challenge position, it brings me to someone going through all these thoughts within their head, but they're not verbalizing them. So it's like they're suffering in silence. And when I look at the Six of Swords in the upright position, it brings me to the thought of someone think they're moving on. And that's the example I gave earlier, where it's like the relationship ends and this person is on to the next, and they never allow themselves to mourn the loss, acknowledge that they were wounded or they were hurt or disappointed or whatnot. Because with the Six of Swords, they're moving forward with the swords on the boat with them. So that means it's like bringing everything with you to the next connection. So if we're bringing everything with us to the next connection, then energetically, we're going to be in a frequency that matches someone just like the last one that we were in. Or it's like, say you were in a full-blown relationship or in a friendship or whatever, and that person pretty much never had time for you, or everything was all about them and just gave you crumbs. Like, if you really sit down and reflect on that, that might reflect a relationship dynamic you have with a parent or whoever raised you, family member, people you grew up in your house with. And say that relationship ended, and now your next relationship, it's the same vibe, or it might be someone who don't even know you exist, and you're daydreaming and fantasizing and telling yourself stories about these possibilities and thinking about the worst and breaking your heart about these the possibility pertaining to this thing. And all of this comes from the need to acknowledge a wound. You know, when was the first time you felt this heartbreak? When was the first time you felt that abandonment issue? When was the first time you're feeling whatever it is that you're feeling? Because more than likely, what you might think is causing the feeling is probably not it. It's probably not it. When it comes to the spiritual, the spirit guidance moving forward, we have the Phoenix, and with the Phoenix in the reversal position, in the upright position, the Phoenix energy talks about a death rebirth energy. The way how the Phoenix came out, it brings me to stagnant energy. It's like with the Phoenix dealing with spiritual guidance moving forward, it brings me to the thought of not being so quick to move on from one thing to the next, and instead sit in certain emotions and understand the root of them. Allow the heartbreak to help you to understand and learn about yourself. Because heartbreak is, I believe, like I always say, pain is a bookmark that holds space for our transformation. So for me, heartbreak, like failure, is instructional. Like, our heart was broken, but that experience helps us to see ourselves, to see the world in ways that we probably couldn't. So it's like, yes, your heart was broken, but your eyes were open from the challenging experience that you've been through. So I feel like, you know, life will cause us to go through things where we'll keep getting our heart broken over and over and over again, because it's not about the people. And the heartbreak is really about getting our attention and opening up our eyes so we can see some truth in our situation that we can't see because we're so obsessed or focused on everything else outside of ourselves but what's happening within us. Group number 1, it was a pleasure sharing this message with you. If you'd like to book a reading with me or check out my exclusive weekly pick a card readings, only available on Patreon, the links for that is in the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a red heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, group number 2. Group number 2, when it comes to what it is that you're feeling and why you're feeling what it is that you're feeling, it comes down to like tired of waiting. Tired of waiting in the sense that you've been waiting for something for some time now. And you probably got to the point where you're sick and tired of seeing videos about manifestation and laws of attraction and all this other stuff, because these things might trigger you in ways where you might feel like the universe don't like you, done forgot about you, or it's just a bunch of BS, and those people were dealt a lucky hand in this life and you weren't dealt a lucky hand in this life. So just the thought of that stuff or hearing about it might be a bit frustrating. And, you know, it's all over the internet, especially when, you know, you like tapping into this realm of information. That's all everybody talks about for the most part. And that might be triggering for you because it's like, that's not happening for you. So it's like, when it comes to say what it is that you're feeling or why you feel the way you're feeling, is because it feels like nothing's happening. It feels like nothing's happening. I think of someone feeling like they're stuck in timeout. It's like it feels like the universe got you in timeout and you're trying to figure out what it is that you've done wrong, why you're in timeout, and when will you be out of timeout, because it feels like there's a drought. It feels like there's a famine in your world to a certain extent. Everything has dried up, everything has slowed down. Things feel way more stressful and overwhelming than it has to be, and you just don't know what else to do to make it better. And you know, everybody is talking about this love and light, and it seems like it's working for everyone else, but it's not working for you. And it is just so freaking overwhelmed and you're over it. But first, when it comes to the astro dice, we have Mercury and the number 5 energy. So with Mercury and the number 5 energy, this brings me to the thought, okay, so this is something that I had to learn, and I'm glad that I learned it, because if you resonate with this message up until this point, I know what it is that you're going through, and I get what it is, how you feel. I remember one time living in this place, and when I moved into the place, when I was looking at the place, everything seemed perfect. I loved the windows, how big they are. I love the fact that I love the exposure. The place was well lit. Like, it felt perfect. But once I signed the lease and I was in there, it felt like, how the hell did I get here? Because I don't like this and I don't like that. And this is happening and that's happening. And I just felt so in over my head. And it's like, how the hell did this happen to me? Because when I came to look at it, like, it seemed just fine. It seemed like what I needed at the moment. But once I was in there, it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, why am I here? Like, this is not where I want to be. But, you know, I'm under a lease. And I would get up every day and I would get on the phone and I would complain to my brother, my uncle, whoever would listen, my mom. I would just talk about all the things that I hate about this place. And it clicked to me one day, just out of nowhere, a thought came over me, like, the more I get up and complain about this thing, the more, or I would notice how while I would be complaining, I'll accidentally bite my tongue, or I'll accidentally hurt myself when I'm speaking negatively. And maybe it was a coincidence, but for me, it wasn't a coincidence. And I took it as a sign that I need to stop speaking about my situation in that way. So from that moment forward, I challenged myself, and I've even shared it in other videos or pick a card readings or whatever, where I challenge myself to no longer speak negatively about my situation. Either I'm speaking to someone because I genuinely want advice, but if it's not a situation where I'm seeking advice about, I'm not going to be speaking about it to everyone or anyone that would listen. Whatever I could do in the moment about the situation, I will do it. But to get up every day and speak on it, it enforces the negative emotions that I have around the situation. And maybe the negative emotions that I have about the situation were ones that are temporary based on where the moon and the planets are, and, you know, things being triggered within me. So I'm focusing on something that isn't a big deal. But to get up and speak about it every day over and over again, I was solidifying this issue that probably wasn't as big as I was making it. So I challenged myself to no longer speak negatively about the ish in my life that I feel aren't working. I'll get up, I'll notice something that I don't like, I'll ask myself, what can I do about it? I'll do whatever it is that I can do about this thing. And if there's nothing I can do about it, then I no longer speak on it. And I found that that has actually been beneficial, because not getting up every day and not speaking on this thing allowed me to be open for new experiences pertaining to this thing. And I noticed that I started seeing certain things differently, and certain issues disappeared because I was no longer like creating it by pouring negative energy into it. So I feel like with the number 5 and Mercury here, you know, you might find that There's certain people in your world that you get up and you guys speak about certain things with, and that's what you bond over. And I'm telling you that that's only making your situation worse. With the Star card coming out in the reversal position the way it did, it just brings me to the fact that, you know, things are like, when I think of the Star card and, you know, how it flows in the ocean and whatnot, and, you know, it's moved along by other things, something that someone in Patreon had pointed out to me. I think of how, like, say the star getting stuck on a coral or getting stuck somewhere. But the stuckness is just a part of life. It's like a season where at some point, some big rough tide will come in and, you know, push it along. But with the star energy, it brings me to the Star card energy, the starfish energy. It brings me to the thought of where you are right now in your life. Masculine energy or action-oriented energy is not required. Basically, you are at a point in your life where you just have to leave it to the universe, leave it to the time. What I mean by that is, I think about how whenever we plant seeds, once you plant the seed in the soil within the right season, and you've watered it, or let's say nature waters it because it rains every freaking day. So the seed is planted, you just have to wait until the seed starts growing. It's at a point where there's absolutely nothing you can do. So you've planted some spiritual seeds, and who knows how long it will take these spiritual seeds to grow. And in the meantime, your only job is to watch your mouth, meaning you're not speaking death onto the seed that you've planted by speaking negatively about your situation. So it's like, watch your mouth, watch the content and the information that you consume. It brings me to this book called The Secret to Getting Rich, I think. And when it comes to that book, honestly, I don't remember much about that book, but the only part that I remember is the importance of not consuming things that goes against what you want. So say, for example, someone here believes in, say, getting married and having a big house with the white picket fence type vibe. That's just an example I'm going to go with. That's what you want, but then you get up every day and watch these 30-minute to an hour TikTok threads talking about why people are happy alone. And it's like, why are you getting up and watching why people hate being together when that's not what you really want? And I feel like why a person might get up and watch that, even though it goes against what they want, because they've been wanting what it is that they've been wanting for so long, to the point that they think it's not gonna happen. So in a self-soothing, in a way to soothe themselves, they consume content to justify or validate where they are within their journey, where they are in their current situation, just as a form of validation or comfort or self-soothing, not realizing that that's only projecting into your situation and, you know, giving you more of what you don't have, more of whatever it is, you know, that you might, more of whatever it is that you don't want. So when it comes to the cards, we have the 8 of Swords in the reversal position. I love that it's in the reversal position, because in the upright position, this person is stuck. They're stuck with the swords around them. They got the water around them. They got the moon in the background. This brings me to like information overload. It's like thinking of so many thoughts and so many different ways to do something, but not knowing what to do exactly. It's like, I think of like, say, a person being in a financial bind or something, and they're thinking of all the different ways to do whatever, but none of those ways are what they need to be doing. So they feel exhausted and overwhelmed and just tired from all this thinking. And all of this thinking also has them stuck. But in the reversal position, it brings me to, something clicking for you and you realizing that you just got to be patient. With the Page of Cups in the reversal position, in the challenge position, brings me to the thought of for someone here, maybe from all the waiting has caused you to develop some negative habits, whether you're smoking weed, whether you're drinking, you're overeating, maybe it's scrolling through social media, whatever it is, it brings me to someone feeding into an addiction because of things being stagnant. But you're just in that season. Most of us are in that season because you'll observe people who they might have their own reasons. So I think of say for example, how majority of the world appears to be going through some form of recession, even though the media will gaslight and say, the economy has never been better. But yes, still people are going through their stuff. And of course, that'll make people feel insecure, uncomfortable to speak up because it feels like it's just a you problem. Because if the feds or, if they're reporting on the news that everything is amazing, but you're struggling, it means that everybody is good, but you're the only one broken. You know what I mean? It's like that gaslighting type of vibe. So it brings me to the thought of how I'll see say Beyonce, for example, launches 2 products back to back, whether it's a hair line and then a liquor line. And it's I love business and I'm all for it. But at the same time, for me, it's it brought me to this energy here where the person is trying to find, throw a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what sticks to get up out of a situation that got them stuck. I'm not saying that's the case with Beyonce or whatnot, but I brought up Beyonce because that's someone that we would all consider to be well off, financially secure and stable. But the moves that are being made, yes, it could be in the name of just business because, business people do what business people do. But then from another angle, someone else can question, is there some financial challenges? Why? We're throwing this at the wall and that at the wall, and we're throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. It's we look and we see someone who is wealthy doing that, similar to say, someone who is struggling financially and thinking of all the different jobs they can apply to. But I said all that to say, just energetically, it just feels like the world is in a resting phase or a standstill phase. There's a standstill energy that the world is just in for the most part. And you can tell by those with a lot of money throwing things at the wall the way how those with no money would throw different things at the wall and trying to see what sticks in order to feed their families, to feed themselves. And we have the devil energy in the upright position. But this just brings me to the importance of not tying yourself to something, not tying yourself to a temporary solution that will have long-term effects. What comes to mind with that is the image that comes to mind with that is I think of someone being an actor, right? And this actor have been looking for a role for the longest, and they haven't been casted for anything. And finally they're casted for a role. But the role that they're casted for is one that paints them in a negative light. And moving forward, if they take this role and do an amazing job at this role, more than likely they're going to now be in this position playing this role for the rest of their life. And because of that, it's going to limit them from opportunities that is really in alignment with their truth. I think of say a different example would be say a person take a role smoking cigarettes, and after that is I guess they could get other roles not smoking, but because they took that role smoking and the world saw them smoking, there are other opportunities for them for someone who doesn't smoke, but because the world saw them smoking, they won't get casted for those roles because the world already sees them in a certain light, is what I'm getting. I'm just getting, be careful how you might tie yourself to something being impatient. Like I think of, like, say another example might be a person broke up with their ex or whoever, and you're afraid of how things are financially, and then you get back with them because you're afraid of like how things are. You get back with them in the name of throwing things at the wall, seeing what will stick. You get back with them, but then this time around you get back with them, something happens, and now you're stuck with them for life. All in the name of like trying to rush something along when it just wasn't that season. We have the Six of Pentacles in the upright position, and I love that it came in the upright position, because this just tells me that if you're patient, things will soon start to flow. If you're patient, things will soon start to flow. That starfish that was stuck on the corals or stuck in some trash or whatever, before you know it, a wild tide will come in, and the tide will be intimidating when it starts flowing in and the waters are crashing. But that's what the starfish needed, to be unstuck. And before you know, things are flowing, things are coming along. I look at how these cards are so mirroring, similar. Where in both cards, these people are on the ground and they're receiving something from the one above. The difference is these people are chained to this person. So now they're one with this person, one with this situation. Where with this energy, they're not chained. They're free. They could get up and go wherever. So it brings me to you being in a position where you can give without strings attached, opposed to getting caught up in a situation where it's like there are strings attached, even though you think there's no strings attached. We have the unicorn in the reversal position as the spirit guidance moving forward. So with the unicorn energy in the reversal position, it brings me to bringing practicality to your situation, intuition and practicality. But I guess when it comes to this group, there's practical energy that's necessary. And I feel like practical energy that I've brought into this conversation would be me mentioning how, like, when you plant a seed, there's nothing you can do but to allow the seed to do what it does. I think that is a practical way of thinking to bringing into this situation. Or just like pros and cons, like writing things out, opposed to just like not like, it just feels like a structured approach or a structured layout might be beneficial. But then at the same time, I understand how contradicting that is, because it might be practical to do everything that you could possibly do when intuitively, you know, some of us could feel that we're just collectively in a certain place right now where the energy has stand still. It's going to start moving at some point, but for whatever reason, things have stood still. And, you know, with the unicorn energy in the reversal position, it brings me to, yes, have faith, trust your intuition and premonition, but it'll be beneficial to pull out a paper and pencil and write things out, because it'll definitely get you out of your head and get you seeing things from a different perspective. Group number 2, it was a pleasure sharing this message with you. If you'd like to book a reading with me or check out my exclusive weekly pick a card readings, only available on Patreon, the links for that is in the description box below. But before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me an orange heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, group number 3. So group number 3, when it comes to why are you feeling this way, whatever way it is that you're feeling, we have the cosmic egg. And with the cosmic egg energy, when I was shuffling the cards and laying them out, that card came out in the reversal position. So the cosmic egg energy, when it comes to why are you feeling this way, I get for you, you're feeling the way you're feeling because you feel lost. You don't know what it is that you want. You don't know what it is that you want. Like, imagine the cosmic egg. Imagine that egg is a womb, and that womb's purpose is to nurture, grow, and give birth to something. But you're holding this what would I call it? What's the word for it? I think like an incubator. Like you're holding this egg, which is like an incubator, and its purpose is to nurture and grow something. And it's important to put something in there to nurture and grow it, because it'll be fun. It'll give you something to do. It'll also allow you to tap into these different aspects inside of you. It'll allow you to flex your muscle, grow new muscle, grow yourself in the process of growing with this thing. But it's like, it's empty. You don't know what to put in there. It's like having a lot of land and not knowing what kind of seeds to plant, not knowing what to put in the soil, is what I'm getting when it comes to this group. And I'll say a lot of land in the sense that you might be someone who has a big imagination. Someone's always thinking, and you have all these grand ideas, but you don't know which one you want to materialize. You don't know which one to commit to. You don't know. You don't know. And when it comes to this group, it brings me to the thought, of thinking back to childhood and the things that you did for fun. As adults, we tend to overthink everything, and we're way too serious about things. And then other factors come in, as far as comparing ourselves to others and wanting to outdo others or prove points to people. There's all kind of different things factor in: insecurity issues, self-worth issues. So it's like something that a person might have enjoyed doing as a child holds clues to what it is that they would also enjoy doing as an adult. But based on insecurities and other things that factor in, it might be hard for a person to even entertain the things they enjoyed as a child, because instead they might feel the need to go after more glamorous callings, because those are the things that society celebrates. When it comes to the astro dice, we have the number 3 and Uranian energy. So the number 3 and Uranian energy, the number 3 is a creative, expressive energy. When I see the number 3 in the Uranian symbolism, I think of like broadcasting. I think of like the Wi-Fi signal. When it comes to this group, you guys are definitely the creative bunch. Creative bunch in the sense that this is the group of people who are your podcasters, your astrologers, because with the Uranian energy, I think of something futuristic. So it could be things about the internet, things about AI, things about information, things about innovation, things about invention. When it comes to this group, very inventive type of personality. So with Uranian energy and the number 3, very inventive when it comes to the way you communicate, inventive and futuristic when it comes to the way how you express yourself. When it comes to this group, I think it will be beneficial to think back to every job you've ever had and just how you interact with others, and look for the common thread that you bring with you to everything that you do. There is something about you that you bring to everything that you do. And in some cases, this thing probably got you in trouble. Maybe as a kid, this thing is what you got in trouble for the most. I know for me as a kid, I got in trouble for asking questions. In jobs, I got in trouble for asking questions. I've always been someone who asked a lot of questions and always trying to problem solve something. And most of the time it was never my job to solve the problems. And the people who are in charge for me to point out problems was like me saying that they're a problem. So of course they would take offense to me pointing out these problems that required solutions. And, I would get in trouble. So when it comes to this group, it's like, what is that thing that you remember getting in trouble for as a child? Whatever that thing is, trust me, you may have been made to see it as something negative, but spin it in a positive way. What is the positive aspect of that? That's just one piece of the puzzle. Where for me, when it comes to whatever it is that I'm doing, I like things that allow me to see patterns. I like things that allow me to think. I like to solve problems. So no matter what it is that I'm doing, I like to solve problems. And once I've done something for long enough to where it doesn't challenge me at all, then I get bored and feel like I'm not utilizing all of the great things that I appreciate about me to offer. So this is where you might get bored in a job. You might get bored in a thing, and it's like you can't explain why, it pays well or it pays you enough to take care of your family, but you just hate it there because it's not allowing for you to grow. And what's not growing is doing the opposite of that. So when it comes to this group, I feel like that's somewhere to start. Think about your childhood, the things that you loved doing, the things that you got in trouble for, because, there are clues there, or the things that irritated others about you, the things that people couldn't stand about you, that was so annoying. For me, it was me being so opinionated. So think about those things, because within those things, it brings me to the Uranian energy, your innovative abilities. So let's see what more we're getting from these cards. And keep in mind that we have multiple purposes and things change. So in the sense that I think of when I was a little girl, there was two things that I wanted to be. There were three things that I wanted to be actually. But the first thing that I knew that I wanted to be for sure was a fashion designer. And then a hairstylist, but only because I would do my hair and other people's hair so good. So people said that, you're so good at that, and it was just easy for me to make money. And I also wanted to be a social worker, similar to like wanting to be a psychologist or a coach or something like that, but it was a social worker that I thought to myself at that time. And of course, like after spending so many years in the beauty industry as a hairstylist, like I got to a point where I felt like I wasn't growing anymore, not the ways that I would like. But at the same time, the time spent there really educated me and prepared me for the next step. So, when it comes to a career path, we might pursue one of our passions or one of the things that we thought we were meant to do and get to the point where you're no longer excited about it. You no longer see yourself doing it. And that's because you have gotten everything that you were meant to get from it. And I'm at a point now where it's like lately, I would say on the videos all the time where it's like, I went to school for fashion and I'm just not into it. Doesn't challenge me enough and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I'm at a point now where being in the salon allowed me to use my hands. And it's like, I miss using my hands. Like that's something that I need to be doing also. So it's like, I've been feeling such a big itch to like step into the creative world again, the fashion world again, but I'm mature enough now to see ways how I would go about it. Like I know I don't want to be commercial, where when I was younger I would think that I had to become commercial or mass produce. I don't want to mass produce. I don't want to be commercial. I don't want to be a huge brand. Like I want to, I'm maturing and seeing more of what it is that I want. And I feel like when it comes to this group, you might start certain things and you don't do those things forever because those things helped you to see who you are, become more of who you are. And then when the time is right, you step into the other positions that you're meant to step into. And when I look at the cards now, wow, I love your cards, guys. Love your cards. Love your cards. When I look at the energies here, it just confirms to me that nothing happens before its time and everything is happening when it's supposed to. When I look at the Seven of Wands energy in the upright position, it brings me to the thought of you don't have to compete for what's yours. You don't have to fight for what's yours or compete for what's yours. Whenever you find yourself in an environment where you feel like you need to compete, that's what this energy is bringing me to. But even with the Seven of Wands, this person looked like they're defending themselves, where we got the Five of Wands and the Seven of Wands side by side. So, you might feel the need to defend yourself when it comes to something. this would bring me to the thought. I remember recently, just over the weekend, I was speaking to a family member, and they were talking to me about the path that they're on right now and how they got into an argument with someone about what it is that they're doing. And and I said to the person, like, the only reason why you got into an argument with someone about what it is that you're doing, because the person is an adult, like an older adult, and they pay their own bills. But I explained to them the only reason why you got into an argument with someone about what it is that you're doing is because you were trying to convince them that what it is that you're doing is the right way. It is the way. Where they asked you a question, and if you answer the question without following up with unsolicited information, y'all would have never gotten into that kind of disagreement or back and forth. So this brings me to say, with this group, y'all might find yourselves in situations where you share what it is that you're about to do or what you're doing with others, and even find yourself where you may have called someone to see their opinion, but before you know it, you get off the phone with them and you feel annoyed with them, frustrated with them, or maybe y'all were even going back and forth because you asked them for their opinion, but then you're debating them as far as their opinion, where it's like, you asked. But it brings me to the thought of working on becoming so confident within yourself with your decision, meaning you don't know if it's going to work out or not, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't, you have your back. You have your back if it doesn't work out, and you'll be just fine. So it's no longer looking for other people to give you permission to do what it is that you want to do. So when it comes to this group, I get the feeling of, some people struggling when it comes to picking a path, because often you'll present things to people looking for them to give you permission, maybe not even realizing it. And if they don't respond to you the way how you like or you need, and it doesn't even have to be verbally, it could be energetically, they're saying one thing, but you're picking up that they doubt you when it comes to this path. And if you already doubt yourself when it comes to this path, you're probably not going to move forward on it. So that's what this energy is bringing me, the need to defend ourselves when it comes to what it is that we're doing. And with the 5 of Wands in the challenging position, fearing the competition pertaining to whatever it is that you're doing. I think of like how I often hear Capricorn say this, but I'm sure a lot of people say this. Like they might be good at something, and it's like, yeah, you're really good at so and so, and they'll say, yeah, there's a lot of people already doing it, talking about how there's so much competition in it. And I feel like, yes, for me, the fact that there's a lot of competition in a thing is a good sign. It shows that it's a market and it shows that there is a demand within that market. Because if you show up and you be you and you do you and focus on the people you want to serve, they're going to find you, but they need to know you exist. So it's like when people say, oh, there's too many people, right away I know that they don't feel confident within themselves to jump into that arena and be a part of the environment with those who are already there. So with the 5 of Wands, there's something that you might want to do that you feel like there's too much competition, there's too many people doing it. And just from that alone, you talk yourself out, entertain other things, but find yourself back in this space of not knowing what it is that you want to do. Time is ticking and you're bored or frustrated with whatever it is that you're already doing, but feel confused, but you're not confused, just afraid to do what is really in your heart. Because I think of say me, and how in the past I tried to step into the fashion world, but I was trying to step in from a mind of thinking that I was going to mass produce by myself, and just not seeing it from different angles. And from other experiences that I had, those experiences intimidated me, and to a certain extent, I feel left me somewhat wounded or with a negative taste in my mouth pertaining to the process. And also to just, convince myself that that's not for me. I'm a thinker. I like to think, and I could see myself getting bored with that. When now that I'm no longer doing hair, like my hands want to create something. So now I'm revisiting this thing that was actually my first love when I was a little girl. And I'm noticing all the different things that happened that made me kind of look at it with a negative light, but really that was because of fear of not being enough. So I, talked myself out of even entertaining it. And I love that we have the Chariot energy for you guys and the Wheel of Fortune, because this energy brings me to, you're going to just give in and move forward on this thing. And with the Wheel of Fortune, you will be supported. You will be supported. You will, if you give in and plant that seed, you will be supported. If you give in and plant that seed, you will be supported. So when it comes to how you're feeling right now, you feel restless. You feel restless because, you feel restless. And it's like, it's time to plant that seed. And I love this. You can't make this up. We got the Lion as the spiritual guidance moving forward. You got to have courage. You got to have courage. The universe favors the bold. The universe favors the brave. Allow yourself to express yourself, because there's something that you bring to the realm, to the medium, to the world that you want to express yourself in, that is futuristic, that is innovative, that is different. And with the Lion energy, you just have to be bold enough to take a step forward. Group number 3, this was a powerful read and such a pleasure sharing it with you. I would love to know how you resonate if you care to share. If you'd like to book a reading with me or check out my exclusive pick a card readings available on Patreon, my weekly pick a card readings only available on Patreon, or booking a reading with me, the links for those are in the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a yellow heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.